Is nuclear power a strategic necessity? In order to monopolize the manufacture and distribution of power, it was a natural outcome that the biggest companies channeled resources into the biggest means of production. In the beginning, huge nuclear power facilities sprang up across the world because financial resources were directed into their design and construction. The two main arguments were economic. Big power plants would be cheaper to build and operate, and safety, including monitoring and being easier to provide security for one big plant than numerous smaller facilities. For decades, the design and construction of today's big nuclear power plants consumed almost all of the brightest minds and research dollars that were directed towards building bigger. It has taken several world-shaking disasters before research money became available to challenge the doctrine of bigger is cheaper and therefore is better. From the standpoint of security alone, wide dispersal of numerous generating sources becomes almost imperative when planning for potential war. Taking out a handful of reactors, mostly near to a coastline, is not nearly as daunting as taking out 100 scattered across the entire country. It is also more difficult to protect a power transmission grid that depends on a few points of concentrated power production. Widespread blackouts have proven this many times over. It is far more reliable and less difficult to protect against vast outage using numerous smaller points of production that can combine to keep more of the grid up and operating. This is an inescapable fact when planning for war. Today's technology offers smaller plants designed for mid-sized cities that are extremely safe, and they can be buried and covered with concrete, which makes them simple to protect. Even if the electricity they produce is marginally more expensive, they save money on operating and security costs. But most important of all, they can form a grid that will keep the maximum amount of electricity flowing in times of crisis. At least for the foreseeable future, small nuclear power plants should become one of the tools we use for increased national security.